Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mrs. Diane Lala Rodriguez, for your kind words. Also, it's for me a pleasure to get to know the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Trade, the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Laura Piper, and other secretaries, the chairman of the board of the Bureau, and the staff of the Bureau, and also the stakeholder of what we call quality infrastructure. Well, today for quality infrastructure, and especially for the metrologists, it's a very special day. And the day is special because today there is a shift in the system of metrology, because we are not working anymore with physical measurement. As the meter convention in 1875 started this worldwide movement and to make intercomparable measurements, they switched from measuring some parts of the body of a king to a physical meter. And they had also physical kilo. But with this, there was a problem how to compare, and that these things in Paris, and everybody had to compare with this meter in Paris and with the kilo in Paris their measures. And they drove with the kilo, for example, actually to Paris, to the Bureau of Weights and Measures to compare. Today, there's no any physical standard required, and the last one was a kilo, because there was a problem also with this standard. Not only the logistical problems, also the technical problems, because when they came to Paris, they realized that they compared all the kilos with the kilo in Paris, and they realized that all kilos in the world gaining weight. Very little, but gaining weight. And then they deduced probably that the kilo was there in Paris was losing weight, but as this was 1 kilo, they couldn't change this. And now the whole system is based on what the physics call natural constants, and on scientific laws with interconnect on certain basic principles, measures. And therefore, I think this is quite interesting and fascinating technically, but also what we see, the whole system of metrology and also quality infrastructure is an evolving system. And we heard here, coming back to your reality, that you are starting now stronger with enforcing measures with legal metrology, like in the petrol stations or with the scales in supermarkets, shops, and harbors. This is one part, and the whole system will be evolve. And there's also an issue that what we see, that quality requirements are becoming more sophisticated. Quality requirements started in the area of trade, and where you have the examples now what we heard, but it has to do also, as we heard, with the airlines and the airports, with safety and security. But now we are living in a world where climate change affects, and I'm quite aware that you were hit very strong, especially Barbuda, very strong by a hurricane, by climate change. And I think we also have to see what can quality infrastructure provide in this area. Therefore, the whole subject of quality infrastructure is evolving. When we talk about quality infrastructure, we start to clarify a confusion, because normally many people, when they hear quality infrastructure, they say, oh yeah, I think about the quality of infrastructure like a airport, like a harbor, like the road infrastructure. I saw here you have also a lot of potholes on your streets. This is probably lack of quality of the infrastructure. When we are and quality infrastructure is also working on this issue, but when we are talking about quality infrastructure in this context, we talk about a system of interrelated services which provide quality, and at the end quality living of the citizens of a country, and also of the people who are visiting us, and also the people who are receiving products from you and services from you. And therefore, we have two dimensions of the quality infrastructure. One is related to the basic needs of protection of the population. It's about safety, and I showed before the session started also some videos to protect babies and children, protect us when we are in the traffic, when we are using services. It's also about safety, security, and also the protection of the environment. These are all what we call, this is a mandatory area where the government uses quality infrastructure to protect the people. On the other hand, there is the area, the voluntary area, where industry, and industry in a broad sense, also including the farmers and the service operators, use quality to facilitate trade. And this area is also part of the quality infrastructure. There's nobody who's enforcing by pure interest that trade is working, especially when we are working in more sophisticated international supply chains, then you need that one fits in the other. Look, for example, to the cruise liner coming here when they want to purchase fuel or water. This needs to meet the requirements of the ship. If it's not fitting with the engine of the ship, then the ship wouldn't be able to leave your harbor. These things needs to be organized by quality infrastructure. Therefore, we have the two things. One is the state area and the what we call the legitimate objective of protection, and the other is what is about efficiency, effectiveness, and to facilitate trade. And here you can describe this also, and many of you knew this already, of interconnected buildings. And when we are talking about the quality infrastructure in Antigua and Barbuda, probably you have not so high buildings, but also interrelated player. What you here have, the Antigua and Barbudan Bureau of Standards, was is a very strong player unifying several functions of this system. But you have also value chains in several products. You have supplier, you have inputs, and you have buyers. And there is something in between what doing this kind of checks. We heard this, for example, here with the supermarkets. They check their balances and weights. Probably the supermarkets even have a certain management system and certify what they are doing. Sometimes, especially with sensitive goods, fresh products, you need to have also testing services. For example, when you sell vegetables in a supermarket, that they are not contaminated by heavy metals. And this is not visible for the consumer. Therefore, we need to have a system what guarantees that the consumer buys healthy stuff, or even, and here we come to certification, that I want to buy, and the tourists especially requiring more and more, I want to buy a product what grew in a healthy environment, what is not damaging the environment. Then we need certification. And then there's another area what is also part of the quality infrastructure, what we call accreditation. This is an institution what verifies what these bodies, like testing laboratories or certification bodies, do, that they do this in the best professional manner. And this is a accreditation of their technical capability to do the services in the best way what they offer. And here on the top, what I had said before, we have standards, and standards are the rules of the game, which is agreed between stakeholders, what is the best way of doing. And normally this is done at the international level, many times also adapted to specific realities. And then when we use this for enforcement as a public sector, we convert these standards at least the minimum of these standards to what we call technical regulations. Both are quite related, and what we have here in the Caribbean, many times, especially when we develop standards at the regional level with cross-Q, these standards then are adopted at the national level, and many of them, when it's about the legitimate objective of the people's protection, they are converted in technical regulation. You see, this is a whole world of interconnected services, and the services needs to work together. This needs to work in an articulated way, because if we have only a certification but the tests are not done properly, then the whole certificate loses value, and then the consumer does not get, or the buyer does not get, what he or she wants. In a more simple form, we can summarize that we have certain basic services, what is standards, what is in the name of the Bureau, and when we talk about standards here, sometimes you use also the term compulsory standards. This is what includes also the technical regulations. We have the science of measurement, metrology, we have testing, we have certification, accreditation, and also other services which are in the broad area of conformity assessment. Important of that is that this needs to work in an articulated way, as I explained before, and then you serve to certain value chains. And we will do this today also. We will look to specific sectors here of your economy and do this in a participatory manner to figure out how this is working in your context. Important is that these services are used in the sector and that these services are adapted to the reality of the sector. Especially in a small island economy, you need to have the service adapted also to smaller players. And on the other hand, you cannot provide every service because as the size of the island is so small, you have to handle with the issue of critical mass. Sometimes you have even only organized access to these services from abroad, for example, looking for a heavy metal lab test, a more sophisticated one. Probably you don't find this on the island. Then you have to see where do you get this in a appropriate way. Important here, and this is especially important celebrating today World Metrology Day, where we have the organization of metrology, the general organization, and also the organization of legal metrology. This system needs a national system of Antigua and Barbuda, and even the regional system of the CARICOM needs to be embedded in a global system. And all the metrology started coming in the national the nation states came together in Paris to agree something, how to work together, how to measure with the same measures. And this was, by the way, the first international scientific congress in 1875, when they came together and to agree one form of measuring length, and this was the meter, and the meter is coming from this area. Therefore, it's very important that this is embedded, and this is done by membership. For example, your bureau is a founding organization of the CrossQ, the CARICOM regional organization for standards and quality, and CrossQ and the bureau are part of the international standard organization, also of the Latin American standard organization, of the Latin American system of metrology, etc. There's several of those. Now we come to the National Quality Policy. The National Quality Policy is a vehicle to organize the whole system. And as you see, well, you have the Bureau as a very strong, and it's a centerpiece of the quality infrastructure in the country, but you have also other organizations. You have first the users, and two of them had here your testimonials. You have also other laboratories from ministries. You have international service provider, for example, to certify quality management systems coming to the countries. All this is part of the national quality infrastructure. And the idea is that we develop a base how to develop this in a realistic way and based on your reality forward. And we will do this in a participatory way. And I think it's a great opportunity to have so many of you here participating. And then we will work on this. And this is also a continuous process to feed this back. Here you see also a picture how we understand the quality infrastructure, who are players of the quality infrastructure. First, as it's a national policy, the government is important, and especially the Ministry of Trade, or here it's even much more than trade, it's also foreign affairs, immigration and trade is a lead ministry. We have also the Standard Council, which represents the work of standards and quality infrastructure in the country, also the Ministry of Legal Affairs. Then we have also the other ministries, because standards and measurement is also affected to the health sector, to the tourism sector, to all the financial sector in your economy, agriculture. And this involves the whole staff of the bureau itself. And then we have also secondary stakeholders, which are the consumer groups, organization, companies, NGOs. And here we have the international organization. All these organizations, and probably this is also specific in each area different, are part of the quality system. Therefore, the national quality system articulates via sectoral quality systems, and we will have a look on that. This was during the kickoff of this project, because now we're in the second phase of the project, and we are working on now to assess the quality infrastructure, and we are very interested to your point of view, and we will invert a little bit. Now we are speaking here a lot, and then we will listen much more to you. Here you have our timeline. We started in March with the kickoff of the project. We delivered already end of April the inception report, and now we are working on the interim report, what will be a description and assessment of the quality infrastructure, of its needs and its gaps. And in the second half of the year, we will deliver a policy draft, what we will consult afterwards also with you on your viewpoints, on your inputs, and we will have also some training activities in this regard. Looking to the economy of Antigua and Barbuda, I think it's also very important to bear in mind what is the economic structure of the economy. And as we see here, this is about the exports. You have 1.2 billion US dollars. This was the data from 2016. Nearly 60% is travel and tourism, and therefore it's very good to have the airport authority here. What is the hub of entering? But we have a lot of more activities. We have hotels, we have restaurants, we have tour operator, a lot of activities. Even the supermarkets are part of the tourism value chain, and this is a big sector. Here you have also the transport sector, the ICT sector, and you see that the largest part of the economy is related to services. Interesting also that you have also a sector, maritime sector, what is quite significant in ship maintenance services for vessels, even construction of smaller boats. I think this is interesting sector. And then you have other sectors which are not so prominent in export, because many products what you're producing here are mainly for local use, especially when we're looking for food and agriculture products. Here you see what you import, and there the situation is a little bit different. Service is also very strong here. And also the area of the maritime sector is very strong, but then you see all the other stuff, what you're importing. Here you see your strong dependence on fossil fuel. I think this is also a big thing. What is a high factor in your invoices, what you have to pay, and here probably the transformation to renewable energy sector is quite interested, also energy saving. And here you have all the other products what your country is importing. What you see here, and you can look up this on the website, there's a little bit more interactive. This is the global economy, and these are all products which are traded or grouped and traded because, based on trade data. And all the colored ones are where your country has a certain competitive advantage. What you see here, the products which are in the center of the product space are products which are traded with other products. The most competitive economies have a lot of colored dots in the center. Here you see that your local economy is quite disarticulated. There is not a very strong base here, and here you see where the dots are coming from. You have some in the agriculture industry, but as we saw, this is not a very strong sector in general, and the rest are quite scattered. We say that the complexity of your economy is quite reduced, but you have some points which are interesting to strengthen and look for other sectors which can relate with them to strengthen your economic performance. What we have done, we compared these indexes of competitiveness and economic complexity of all countries worldwide, and we developed a formula how to compare this with the development of national quality infrastructure. And there we looked here, you have the different components, what I explained before, which characterize the national quality infrastructure. And we looked for certain inputs, which are mainly memberships, but also how many certificates you have, or many bodies are accredited. And here you have the different outputs. What we're looking to make a long story short. Here you see, and this is the economic complexity. Here you see the Caribbean countries, and especially here Antigua and Barbuda. You have a relative low degree of economic complexity and a very low level of the development of your national quality infrastructure. There is a correlation. This has also to do with the smallness of your country, but also when you want to progress and want to have a more diverse economy, you need more quality infrastructure. And you see here countries like Singapore and also the other big countries, or even Costa Rica, Colombia, all these have more complex economies, but also at the same time a more complex quality infrastructure. And our point is here, when you want to diversify your economy and also work on the linkages between different sectors, you need to invest in quality infrastructure, and especially in a developing economy where the bureau is one of the major technology institutions of the country. This is an argument to say, well, this is important to invest in that. Okay, any question in regard to understand this, what I've presented? Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay.
Can we thank Ulrich for his presentation, please? Thank you very much, Ulrich. That was a rather important and succinct explanation of the quality infrastructure, how it works and how we all interact with it.